miles down from you. He drives a 10-year-old Maruti. He wears the same simple cotton shirt every summer. He buys vegetables from the local mandi, not the imported aisles of Nature Basket. His house looks exactly the same as it did when he moved in 20 years ago. And he's worth 35 crore rupees. Meanwhile, across the city, there is another man. Brand new Audi in the driveway, designer watch on his wrist. He just posted a photo from Dubai on Instagram, captioned hustling. His net worth minus 75 lakh rupees. This is the secret almost nobody talks about. Real wealth, the kind that quietly accumulates over decades, is almost invisible. It doesn't look like wealth. It doesn't sound like wealth. It doesn't post about wealth. In this video, I'm going to show you the 7 habits that quietly separate people who get rich from the people who just look rich. These aren't tricks, they aren't hacks. They are slow, unsexy, devastatingly effective. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what they do and exactly what to do starting tonight. So let's begin. Habit number 1, pay yourself first. Now, this phrase gets thrown around so often that it has almost lost its meaning. So, let me explain what it actually means because most people get it backwards. The average person earns their salary, pays their rent, their EMIs, their phone bill, their Netflix, their Swiggy orders, their impulse purchases on Amazon. And then at the end of the month, if there is anything left, they save what remains. There is almost never anything left. Wealthy people flip this completely. The moment money lands into their account on the first of the month, a percentage, usually between 15 to 30%, is automatically moved out, gone, into a separate account, an index fund, a SIP, a PPF, before they ever see it. They live on what remains. This is a psychological trick disguised as a financial strategy because the human brain treats whatever is in your account as available for spending. Always. There is no version of you that has the discipline to save what's left. That person doesn't exist. So you move the decision, you automate the transfer on the first of every month, and then miraculously you find that you can live on the rest. There is a story from Pune. A retired postal clerk named Murthy drove a Bajaj scooter his whole life, wore the same kind of half sleeve shirts. When he passed away, his family discovered he had left them 8 crore rupees. He had been quietly putting a fixed amount into an index fund every single month for 40 years. Nobody, not even his wife, knew the total. That's it, that's the whole habit. Pay the future you before the present you can spend it. Habit number 2, live below your means. And I want you to notice something. I didn't say live within your means, I said below. Look at Radhakishan Damani, the man who built DMart, one of the 10 richest people in India, net worth over a lakh crore rupees. He wears the same simple white shirt and white trousers every day. He lives in a modest flat in South Mumbai. He doesn't post anything on social media because he isn't on social media. He gives almost no interviews. If you saw him walking down the street, you would never guess. And he's the rule, not the exception. Decades of research on self made millionaires worldwide reveal the same pattern. The typical millionaire lives in a house worth far less than what they can afford. They drive a car that is on average 3 years old, bought used. They have never spent more than 15,000 rupees on a watch. More than half have never spent more than 5,000 rupees on a single piece of clothing. Why? Because they understood something the rest of the world missed. Every rupee you spend on a lifestyle upgrade is a rupee that can never compound for you again. A 30 lakh car isn't a 30 lakh decision. It's a 3 crore decision because that is what 30 lakh becomes in 30 years if you invest it instead. The wealthy don't deny themselves. They just understand the math of opportunity cost on a level the rest of us refuse to. The quietly rich are willing to look ordinary while being extraordinary. They have nothing to prove to the WhatsApp group. They are already winning the only game that matters. Habit number 3, invest in the most boring way possible, then never stop. Here's a question. Who do you think outperforms the market over 30 years? The genius day trader with 7 screens watching the Nifty every second, or your chachi who started a SIP in 1995 and forgot about it? It is almost without exception your chachi. There is a famous study by Fidelity. They looked at which of their accounts performed best over a multi decade period. The winners had one thing in common: the account holders were dead. The second best performers, people who had forgotten the account existed. This is not a joke. It is the single most important fact in personal finance. The number one enemy of your returns is you, yourself. Your urge to tinker, to time the market, to chase the hot stock your cousin recommended at the Diwali party. Warren Buffett, arguably the greatest investor who has ever lived, has said publicly multiple times that if you put 90% of your money in a low cost index fund and 10% in short term government bonds, you will beat almost every professional investor over 30-year horizon. The quietly rich understands this. They pick a simplified, diversified, low fee strategy, usually a Nifty 50 index fund or a Nifty Next 50 fund through a monthly SIP. They contribute every single month. They ignore the news, they ignore the crashes, they ignore the booms. They let time and compounding do what time and compounding do. Look at the math. 10,000 rupees a month into a Nifty index fund at India's historical average return of about 12%. After 10 years, 23 lakh. After 20 years, close to 1 crore. After 30 years, 3.5 crore. After 40 years, 11 crores 77 lakh. From 10,000 rupees a month that you never touched. It is the most boring possible plan and it works almost every time. Habit number 4, build multiple streams of income. There's a fact about typical self-made millionaire that should change how you think about money. The average self-made millionaire has 7 different streams of income. Not one, 7. A salary, a side business, a rental property, stock dividends, interest from bonds or FDs, royalties from something they created, a small consulting gig, a capital gain from selling an investment. Now, here's what most people miss. They hear 7 streams of income and they think, I have to start 7 businesses. No, that's not what it means. It means they began with one stream, their job. And every time that stream produced a surplus, they used the surplus to plant a new stream. A young engineer earns 6 lakh rupees a year. She invests the surplus in dividend paying stocks. That dividend income, even just 2,000 rupees a year at first, is now her second stream. A few years later, she has enough for a down payment on a small flat in a tier 2 city. Rental income, third stream. She writes an online course on her weekends. Royalties, fourth stream. Each stream feeds the next. None of them have to be large, they just have to exist. Because here's the brutal truth, if your entire life depends on one paycheck from one employer, you're not wealthy. You're one bad performance review away from the disaster. The quietly rich understands that wealth isn't just having money, it's having money that arrives even when you do nothing. Habit number 5, refuse lifestyle inflation. This one is the silent killer. Here's what happens to almost everyone in India. You get your first job in Bangalore or Pune or Gurgaon. You earn 5 lakh a year. You learn to live on it. You're fine. You're happy even. Then you get a raise, 12 lakh. What happens? You upgrade your PG to a 1 BHK, you buy a hero bike, then trade it for a used Honda City. You eat out twice a week instead of once. You're still living from one salary to the next. But now you're broke at a higher altitude. You get promoted again, 25 lakh. New furniture from Pepperfry, a weekend trip to Goa every 3 months, maybe an EMI on a Mahindra Thar. Still broke? Just nicer broke. You make it to the senior management, 50 lakh a year. By now, you've taken a 30-year home loan on a 4 crore flat in Whitefield or Powai. You drive a leased BMW. Your kids go to international schools that cost 6 lakh a year. You earn 50 lakh and save almost nothing. This is the lifestyle inflation trap. And it is the reason that even highly paid doctors, lawyers, founders, and senior executives, people earning 30, 50, 80 lakh a year, routinely retire with almost nothing. The quietly rich do the opposite. When their income goes up by 20%, their lifestyle goes up by maybe 2%. The other 18% goes into investments. They keep the same modest house, they keep the same car until it dies, they keep the same haircut. This isn't deprivation, this is leverage. Because every raise becomes a wealth building event, not a spending event. Over a 30-year career, the single habit is the difference between a comfortable retirement and generational wealth. So when the raise comes, and it will come, pretend it didn't. Bang the difference. Future you will be unspeakably grateful. Habit number 6, buy assets, not liabilities, and learn the difference between them because almost nobody actually has. An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket, a liability is anything that takes that money out. Sounds obvious? It is not. Your house, the one you live in, is almost certainly a liability. It does not pay you. You pay it every month in EMI, in property tax, in maintenance, in society charges, and repairs. The bank gets richer, you get a roof. Your car is a liability. It loses value the moment it leaves the showroom. It costs you fuel, insurance, servicing, in tires. Your designer watch is a liability. Your bullet bike on EMI is a liability. The Goa vacation on a credit card is a liability that you will be paying interest on for 2 years. So, what are assets? A rental property that you rent to someone else, stocks that pay dividends, bonds and FDs that pay interest, a business that earns profit, an intellectual property, a book, a course, a patent that pays royalties. The quietly rich live by a single rule. Before they buy anything that loses value, they make sure they have first bought something that creates it. They buy the asset and then they let the asset buy the liability. A wealthy person doesn't buy a Range Rover. The dividends from his stock portfolio buy him a Range Rover. Do you see the difference? The money for his luxury came from his money, not from him. And after the Range Rover is gone, the stocks are still there, still paying. That is the entire game. Habit number 7, and arguably the most important, read every day. Tom Corley spent 5 years studying the daily habits of 233 wealthy people and 128 poor people. The differences were stark. The 88% of the wealthy read for self improvement at least 30 minutes a day. Of the poor, only 2%. 86% of the wealthy were what he called lifelong learners. Of the poor, 5%. This is not coincidence. This is not correlation. This is causation. And it is the most under discussed fact in personal finance. Money does not flow toward intelligence in the academic sense. It does not care about your rank in JEE or how many marks you score in CBSE. Money flows towards applied curiosity. The quietly rich do not read for entertainment primarily. They read to compound their understanding of the world. They read biographies to learn from people who've already done it. They read history to recognize patterns that repeat. They read about industries, technologies, economics, psychology, because every page is a possible insight that could compound into a crore. You don't need to read 5 hours a day. Start with 30 minutes, one chapter, every single day. In 10 years, you will have read 3,000 chapters. You will be a different person with a different mind making different decisions. And different decisions made over decades are the entire story of how the quiet ones get rich. So let me tell you what these 7 habits have in common because it's important. None of them, not one, will make you rich this year, or next year, or even the year after that. Every single one of them is built on a force that Albert Einstein supposedly called the eighth wonder of the world, compounding. A habit repeated for 1 week is nothing. A habit repeated for 1 year is a slow improvement. A habit repeated for 30 years is destiny. That is why the quietly rich are quiet. There is nothing to post about. There is no moment of triumph. There is just Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and the boring, beautiful arithmetic of doing the right small thing 10,000 times in a row. So here's what I want you to do tonight. Not tomorrow, tonight. Open your banking app, set a one automatic transfer, even if it's just 500 rupees from your salary account into a separate mutual fund SIP scheduled for the day after your salary credits. That's habit 1, install. Then open Amazon or Kindle and download one book. Any book about money, business, or someone you admire. Maybe The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Maybe Let's Talk Money by Monica Hallan. Read 10 pages tonight before bed. That's habit 7, install. You will not feel rich tomorrow, but you will be on the path. And the path, my friend, is the entire thing. If this video gave you something useful, do one small thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. It tells the algorithm to put knowledge feed in front of more people who, like you, are quietly building something real. Drop a comment with the one habit you are going to start tonight. I read every single one of them. And remember, the loud ones are easy to spot, the quiet ones are the ones to watch. I'll see you in the next video.